Yeah. Well, when did you first meet Jim?
Ooh, when I first moved down here about 12 years ago.
Yeah, so you went and had your hair done there?
Had my hair done, and that's how I got to know Jim. And what fascinated me were the stories about being an alcoholic and how he had this huge kind of challenge to overcome that, and how he's so proud of himself that 22 years later he hasn't had a drop of alcohol, but still goes down to the pub every Friday night with the boys, and keen Port supporter and Port Power supporter, and doesn't touch a drop, which I just find amazing. So this all came about, just finding out about him came about through his philosophical approach to hairdressing. He's always got a story, and he's a very philosophical and spiritual kind of a person. So I was interested in how that came about, and it came about through AA. So when I heard that he was one of the characters of the Port, one of the Port faces, I was really interested, and I said, I said, Jim, if I painted you, I know there'd have to be a lot of teal and black and white in the painting. So when I did actually eventually take on the job of painting Jim, I originally thought in my head that it would be a black and white painting with a bit of teal in it. But as it developed, I liked the idea of the soft lighting in the salon, and just using the natural lighting. So when I went down there, I just felt, rather than using a strong spotlight, that I would like to keep it as natural as possible. So the big challenge with me was the lighting, the fact that it was soft lighting, and that I had to work with that. And when I'm normally used to working with strong lighting and getting strong highlights and strong shadows. So there's a southerly light coming in, which is a cool light, and the shadows tend to be warmer. So that was what I worked with.
And you got Jim to stand there?
Yes.
Some length of time?
So we had 10-minute blocks, because I thought it was too much to ask him to stand for too long. So we had 10-minute blocks of him standing, and then we'd have a rest. And he talked for most of the time, and I didn't paint his mouth. And when he stopped talking and I talked, then I could paint his mouth. So it was interesting, because I haven't done that before. Usually we paint people sitting, and they focus on a point, and they are quiet, and we're quiet, and we paint, So it was a different experience. But it was a good experience, and very challenging, but it was a great experience. And I knew I had to paint him standing up, because I've never seen him sitting down. In all the years I've known him, he's always been walking and talking. There's always this very gestural body, and he's always talking, and there's always a tail. So
he's a hairdresser you go to for the performance as much as the haircut?
Well, I think the conversation as much as the haircut, but he's a very athletic person, and he was a boxer, I hear, and I'm just looking at the painting to see what else. So there was the gesture. I wanted him to be engaging with the viewer. That was the first thing. He had to be standing, and he had to be in his salon with his scissors, and I wanted it to look like he was just taking a pause from his work. That the next person's coming along, and I'm just standing here waiting for the next person. And we both decided that Suzanne, his off-sider, needed to be in the background, because through all his years of ups and downs, way back when he was drinking a lot, she would take over and keep the salon running. So
his very first apprentice.
His very first apprentice, okay. So it goes back about 25 years or so, at least, And so he really wanted her in there, but I just only suggested her face, because I think the main portrait was about Jim. And what else? The Port Power colours. So this shirt is actually purple, but I kept it fairly plain, because I wanted the white and the teal and the black and silver, the chrome of the chair, to dominate. And I'm trying to think what else. The other thing that I thought was interesting, the hand positions. This one here, he often stands like this and talks like this. And I said, Jim, I love subtle little symbols. And I said, that's a mudra in the East, in Hindu, Hinduism and Buddhism, that's, you know, a spiritual symbol of meditation. And I said, well, put that in, you know, we'll keep that. Because at first I thought it could look a little bit awkward, but then I thought, no, that's his little attachment to AA, because he always has a spiritual story to tell. So that was kind of something that I wanted to leave in there as well.
Sounds like he's not only less impression, he's taught you things, maybe.
He's taught me things. Pardon?
Has he taught you things?
Yes, a lot. Yes.
What's he taught you?
I think humility. I don't think I understood what alcoholism was until I talked to Jim. I had no idea that the struggle that people go through. So that was a terrific, it's a terrific lesson for me. And you know, he goes twice a week. He's been going for, I think, 22 years, twice a week, and he wouldn't give it up. He said that all his friends who've been to AA and given it up thinking that they're okay have gone back on the booze, so he's really keen to stay with it. And I think he's pretty proud of the way his life's turned out.
He is. And he cut your hair?
Yes, he cut my hair,
Nice
and thank you. And while I was painting him, he insisted that my haircuts were free. He said, no, you're working too, so yeah.
Fantastic. So how many haircuts did you have during the course of painting?
2 haircuts.
2 haircuts.
During the cut. So I went down there 5 times. The first time was to just get an idea from Jim of what we would do, and some of those first ideas didn't really work out. For example, when I first set him up, I went to stand back from the canvas to have a look, and the wall was in the way. So we had to move him down to another part of the salon and start again. And
you wanted to get the staircase in?
I didn't need to have the staircase, but
It's a great staircase.
it's a great staircase, and it's a beautiful salon as well. It's a very spacious, open, kind of soft lit salon, and he seems to choose beautiful salons, and they're lovely old character buildings in the port, and they're very austere and simple, and some people go in there and think it's a bit plain, but I think it's just right for Jim. You know, these just simple, just a simple setting with a beautiful old building with high ceilings and so on. Yeah, it's quite lovely.
Sounds like you're very attached to your hairdresser.
Well, I think I'm pretty happy with my hairdresser. Yeah.
Yeah, he painted himself.
Yeah.